Yep, this video is going to anger a lot of people, and it's probably going to also have a lot of people banging on their keyboards telling me how wrong I am when I say that preppers who plan to do bushcrafting only after SHTF will probably have a short lifespan. Now, I've mentioned this topic in other videos, but I believe that this topic actually deserves its own video, which is what you're getting today. Now first, let me say this. I don't believe that learning bushcrafting for preppers is a useless skill to learn. I think it is a hugely valuable skill to learn. But I do think that preppers who say, when SHTF happens, I'm gonna grab my bag, and I'm going to head out to the woods, I'm going to head out to the wilderness, and I'm going to lone wolf it, and I'm going to bushcraft, and I'm going to forage for wild edibles, and I'm going to hunt wild game for my food. Those are the preppers, those are the bushcraft preppers that I believe will have a very short lifespan after SHTF. I personally just don't believe that that is a long-term survival plan. Again, let me repeat that. I don't believe that that is a long-term survival plan. First off, my belief that bushcrafting is a great skill, but it's a temporary survival plan to get you from point A to a solid point B. Again, let me repeat that, a temporary survival plan to get you to point B, which will be more life-sustaining. I just personally believe that 90% of the bushcrafting preppers that head out to the wilderness after SHTF will soon die from infections, from sicknesses, from insect bites, from diarrhea. They drink tainted water and they diarrhea themselves to death, or just from exposure to the elements. Or they just get killed by one of the other thousands of preppers who have that same plan of bugging out to the wilderness and trying to bushcraft to live. Now, when I've mentioned this topic before, I've had people that would comment, hey, that's how our ancestors survived, by foraging wild edibles and hunting wild game. And that is true, but they also didn't do this as lone wolves. They also did this as a tribe. There were also much fewer people on the planet back then that would be competing for that wild game and that food. And like I mentioned before, once everybody heads out to the woods and that wild game dries up, then that's going to force you, the bushcrafting prepper, to be forced then to only rely on wild edibles to try to sustain yourself. And we all know that while wild edibles do provide good nutrients for your body, most of them are not calorie dense enough to actually keep you going. And are you one of those people that get inspiration from some of those survival shows like you see on TV? The first thing that you have to understand is that a lot of these people are rugged and experienced people. These are not your average person that wakes up, goes to work, eats Taco Bell, then goes home, goes to sleep, and then repeats that again. These people have experience at this. And also, most of these people lose a lot of weight. And these people aren't fat to begin with, but they still lose a lot of weight during that 1 week or that 1 month that they're out there in the bush. And that is because they are getting so few calories that their bodies actually are feeding on themselves. So they're only kept alive by what they already have on their body once they're out there in the bush. If this was a sustained thing that would last for a year or 2 years or whatever, even those experienced survivalists, a lot of them would even die. And let's touch on those simple shelters that many of you plan to build while you're bushcrafting it in the woods after SHTF. And one of the things we have to remember is that those simple shelters do not keep out insects, biting insects that are cause diseases or infections out of your shelter. Plus, they also do not stand up, many times they do not stand up to bad storms. So when you're out there and that bad storm comes over and blows your shelter down, it completely soaks everything so that you cannot start a fire, and then that cold front comes in, they're going to find your dead body the next morning in the forest. Now, I am not saying that every single bushcrafting prepper will die after SHTF. There are always exceptions to every rule. There will be preppers that won't get bitten by a bug. There will be preppers that won't come down with some kind of an infection. There will be some preppers that won't get hit by some major storm or something like that. And there will be some preppers that end up so far out in the middle of nowhere that they don't have to compete with other people in the woods for their food. But what I am saying is that 90% of the people that plan to do this will die. My personal belief is that you figure out where your point B is in case you have to bug out after SHTF. Then you figure out how long it will take you to get to that solid point B. And if it takes you 3 days, then you have 3 days worth of supplies in your bug out bag to get you to that solid point B. And then you have some good bushcrafting skills so that if you run out of supplies, then you can utilize those skills to keep yourself alive until you do reach your solid point B bug out location. So I want you to do me a favor now and comment below. Do you agree with me on this topic, or do you disagree and think that I have it all wrong? And then if you do disagree with me, then why don't you please defend it down in the comment section. And to see how well this popular prepper sun oven actually performed in the middle of wintertime in below freezing temperatures and how it actually cooked food while surrounded by snow, then click on the video that should be appearing at the top of the screen just about now to learn more about that. And to learn why this grain mill is so popular with preppers. A grain mill that takes no electricity to work and can really triple the variety of your food. And to learn why this grain mill is so important for preppers to have, then click on the video that should be appearing on the right side of the screen just about now to learn more about that. Anyways folks, if you made it this far, hey, thank you very much for watching, and I pray that you have a good night.